队长，你回来的时候记得把心带回来给我。
俺今天刚给你2个心，又要。
心当然是越多越好了嘛。
The story begins with 2 chicken dealers. They arrived at this remote island after hardships, planning to sell live poultry at a high price, but they soon discovered something unusual. The ferrymen dropped them off and left in a hurry as if fleeing a plague. The fat man didn't take it seriously, but the thin one felt a little uneasy. Soon the unease became reality. The two were separated briefly. The fat man found a strange man in the forest. He went to test him, but was instantly surrounded by several masked hunters. In the chaos of knives, the fat man was killed on the spot. The thin man, who came running at the sound, saw his companion's body. Before he could react, he was subdued by the masked man who appeared behind him. They were dragged into the village's slaughterhouse. Live chickens were poured into boiling water, but this was just the appetizer. The masked men pressed the fat man's body onto the chopping board and skillfully disemboweled and dismembered it. The thin man vomited beside him, but his own nightmare had just begun. A long saw was placed on him. As the 2 masked men pulled it in unison, he was sawed in half alive. The bell rings, which is the signal to eat. Villagers poured into the ancestral hall from everywhere, with fanatical eyes, staring at the food being pushed in. The security captain, the leader of the masked men, used his absolute authority to control the scene. He announced the 2 harvests of the day. The security team would take 30 shares, and the remaining 9 pieces were for the villagers. Although they were dissatisfied under the leader's authority, no one dared to resist. However, the island is not monolithic. The deputy captain of the security team, a man with a sense of justice, sent his men, ordering him to leave the island to call the police. But he forgot the law of the island. You can only come in, never out. That night, the escapee was caught and brought back. The captain ordered torture, trying to get him to reveal his accomplices, but the hungry villagers had lost their minds. Without interrogation, they killed the traitor on the spot, ready for a meal. The clue was interrupted. The next day, new food came to the island by itself. One was a spy sent to catch the thief named Rolex, codenamed Sanchaijo. The other was a thief named Baitiden, who wanted to make money. The ferrymen also stopped offshore, lied about there being reefs, and made them disembark as soon as they landed. Sanchaijo stepped into a hunting trap, and was hung in the air. Seeing this, instead of saving him, Baitiden took the opportunity to search his belongings, and then fled quickly. A masked man holding a cleaver approached the trapped Sanchaijo as a top spy. Sanchaijo was a skilled fighter. He used the swing of his body to deftly dodge every slash. The furious masked man swung his blade randomly, but accidentally cut the rope. Sanchaijo killed his opponent with one move, thinking he had just encountered ordinary robbers. He went straight to the security department to inquire about his target, Rolex. The security team saw this fat sheep delivered to their door. Their eyes lit up, and they rushed towards him. But Sanchaijo was skilled in martial arts and easily defused the siege. Seeing this, the security captain knew force wouldn't work, so he devised a plan. He lied that he had seen Rolex at the slaughterhouse, leading Sanchaijo to the trap that had been set. Sanchaijo noticed that more and more villagers were following him, but he didn't think much of it. An enthusiastic blind man guided him, leading him to the slaughterhouse gate. Seeing him walk through the door, the villagers cheered excitedly. Sanchaijo thought his justice had moved the people, but he didn't know it was a celebration of the prey's capture. Inside the slaughterhouse, several masked men were already waiting. Facing the siege, Sanchaijo gradually grew exhausted, and his waist was severely injured by a wooden stake. He barely managed to climb over the wall to escape, and finally lost consciousness. When he woke up, he found that he had been saved by a kind woman named Alian. Alian made soup for him. Sanchaijo had never tasted such delicious soup, but he didn't know what the ingredients in the soup were. When his injury had slightly healed, he sought out the captain again, and questioned him about the attack at the slaughterhouse. The captain pretended to accompany him back to the scene, but it was empty. Just as the captain was about to attack him from behind, the vice-captain appeared just in time, and interrupted him. Then, the vice-captain tried to reveal the truth to Sanchaijo, but was interrupted by Baitiden, who came to report. It turned out that while Baitiden was stealing, he had witnessed the horrifying scene of villagers dismembering a corpse, but he didn't know that the person he was reporting to was one of these cannibals. Baitiden was soon arrested and imprisoned. At night, the vice-captain found Sanchaijo and confessed his identity. He was the thief Rolex, but he had already given up that life. He revealed the villagers' cannibalistic secret. However, in Sanchaijo's mind, there was only the task of catching Rolex, and he ignored the warnings. Seeing the situation was grim, Rolex quickly escaped. On the other hand, Rolex decided to take the initiative. He saved Baitiden, who was about to be eaten, and persuaded him to assassinate the captain together. However, during the operation, Bai Taidan's cowardice surfaced again. He hid outside, afraid to provide support, leaving Rolex to fight alone, and Rolex was finally killed. His mission target dead, San Chai-jo thought he had succeeded. He found Rolex's body, cut off the distinctive tattoo, and prepared to leave the island, but he didn't know the captain would never let any insider go. On his way off the island, he was caught in an ambush in the middle of the ancestral hall. San Chai-jo was tied up, about to be publicly executed by the captain. A Lian, who had a crush on San Chai-jo, felt pity for him. This made the captain, who was her lover, jealous, and he became even more cruel. At the critical moment, Bai Taidan, who had escaped, used a huge curtain to create chaos and save San Chai-jo. The two fled to the other side of the island overnight. They devoured noodles at a noodle stand, but they found human fingernails in the noodles. It turned out that this was also a cannibal stronghold. They were captured again. This time, A Lion's younger brother saved them. He couldn't stand the atrocities in the village. The three decided to fight back. They made a bold plan to use the body of another murdered strongman, Ruwa. Bai Taidan and A Lion's brother disguised themselves as masked men. They distributed pieces of meat to create a distraction, while San Chai-jo took the opportunity to sneak into the cell and rescue the imprisoned A Lian. The plan was successful, but during their retreat, they were blocked by the security team. San Chai-jo had a final duel with the captain. During the fierce battle, Bai Taidan's roller skate slipped off his feet and slid into the fray. San Chai-jo slipped and fell. The captain seized the opportunity, leaping into the air, ready to deliver a fatal blow. However, when he landed, he happened to step on the other roller skate that had bounced back, lost his balance, and was impaled by his own knife. The leader was dead. The three locked all the villagers in the ancestral hall. The hungry villagers looked at the captain's body, and their eyes gleamed with new greed. The three paddled the raft away from the island, but found a villager hiding under the raft. He suddenly attacked and dragged A Lion's younger brother into the water. In the struggle, San Chai-jo and A Lian teamed up to stab the last enemy to death. The immediate crisis was resolved. The three swam towards the raft, but when they were about to climb on, they saw the most terrifying scene. A Lian smiled, and slowly, from within her clothes, she took out a still beating heart. It turned out that there was no way out of this hell.